Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Go ahead, Dave. Are you a voting member of the NRA? My name is Lucretia Hughes NRA. I will never compromise my beliefs in God, family, our country, and my Second Amendment. I am running for the board of directors of the NRA, and I would appreciate your vote.
We are running a sale on our entire We the People line of products. Just use promo code TOLDYOUSO and get 15% off until the end of March. So order today.
Well, that was I ate a half of some young guy. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to swallow. Nail it. Hold on. That was rude. That was so asexual. Put your hand down, Steve. Hold on, y'all. Let me get professional. I get my own damn jokes. Hold up, y'all. Okay, blame my daughter. I couldn't eat nothing but half of one. Welcome back to the Real News with Lucretia Hughes. Do not forget this Saturday, I've cut the grass. I already took my drug. That Benadryl should kick in about an hour and a half. So, y'all do not forget that this weekend is our 14th rally. And it's the celebration for veterans and first responders. Like I said, we have Jerome Davison flying in from Arizona. We have Danny Triplet coming in from Seattle, Washington. We have Joe coming in from Connecticut. We have so many people showing up. Like I said, once we get off the show here, we're going to start shopping. And I mean shopping because I'm getting antsy. And I want the meat here. And I'm going to get those ribs and chicken and hot dogs. So that is what we've raised so far, is to be able to get that without going a lot in our pocket. For the people that has donated, thank y'all for feeding our Leos and our veterans that are going to show up Saturday. And if you would love to donate, it's not too late. Trust me when I tell you that. It's not too late. Y'all can get over there. It's in the chat rooms. Like I said, the place we're gonna decide it. The place for everybody that's coming is gonna be $10. We're gonna take a portion of that proceeds and hand it over to my sheriff in Walton County, because I am doing this to give some of the proceeds, if not majority of them, back over to Walton County Sheriff Department, because they do so much good. And look what they have done for us in our house situation. So let's worry about the rally first on Saturday. Make sure y'all get here. We'll worry about the mediation for our house on Tuesday. And then we'll worry about the NRA convention that will be coming up in 2 weeks. So if you have not voted, it's about too damn late. Hold on. You might well just come to the NRA convention. Come to my booth. Come see me. Come help pass out flyers. And just keep us in y'all prayers that I make history as being the first black chick on the board of directors of the NRA. So wait till they get a load of me, because I'm not giving over my gun rights. So Dave, please bring on our next guest. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Lucretia, how are you?
I got a piece of some young guy in my teeth, and I'm trying to get it out.
I saw that.
That's what happened when you don't eat. I've been cutting grass all day, so I'm a typical woman. Instead of nagging Dave on a consistent basis, I said, you know what? Let me get out here and cut 5 acres of grass, and that's what I did.
Oh, God bless you. I have 5 acres as well, and I understand. I feel for you.
So you know what? We can get in our own time. We can get into mediation. We can get into prayer because you got to always remember we do stuff because God, we are commanded to do it, and our nation needs to be saved. And he only gives it to the people he knows is gonna do it. So I don't know what's
Amen.
gonna happen Saturday. I just know I've been listening to a lot of Chicago Mass Choir as I'm sitting here waiting on you. Can you tell us what can you tell us?
Well, I'm going to tell you. So I think for the people who have been a little nervous about what's going on with our economy, I think that they've kind of been put at ease today, or at least they should. I think they need to have a little more belief. Even the people that voted for our president needs to let go and let God a little more, because just like our president said, things are going to work out.
Now,
It's going to
Steve,
be okay.
you ran for sheriff. You're a
Yes, sir.
veteran.
Yes. Yeah.
You was endorsed by Veterans for America First. You kind of sort of work in the White House, but you kind of sort of don't work in the White House. But you'll bust somebody up to the white meat if necessary, and you will get on the front line if called. What do you see when it comes to our national security? What do you see when it comes to all of these illegal gangs and soldiers that are in our country? And I was reading an article today that says Venezuela has really taken us over.
Well, and I do work as an special agent in Department of Defense, so I'll be careful a little bit about some of the things that I can say that I can't. I'll start off with, for those people that don't believe this is going to hit their hometown, you don't believe it's going to hit your hometown. Look at the national news that just happened yesterday in my county of Spotsylvania, where I ran for sheriff. We had 3 people killed by gun violence by young people. These were teenagers. It was a running, rolling gun battle. I've been sent messages all day about some of the things that have happened. And this is coming to your hometown, whether you want it or not, because of all of the illegal aliens that have come into our country. And we just have no idea where they are. My personal feelings set aside, because my personal feelings are this should have never happened. We shouldn't be where we are today. I've been a conservative my whole life. Yeah, I ran for sheriff in a small community in rural Virginia. I was raised in a rural community in Ohio, started my law enforcement career all the way back in 1983, a lot sooner than what I'd like to realize. But I've seen this change with federal government policies, and people don't think that federal laws or federal policies are going to affect them at the local level. Well, just look at what happened in Spotsylvania, Virginia just yesterday. So it's coming to your hometown. The best thing you can do, if you see something, say something, support your local law enforcement. I love what you do in supporting our first responders. I think it's phenomenal, the care and giving that you have for the first responders. And I see that, I think that's a mischaracterization too, that sometimes a lot of these people want to put out, whether it's in government or no matter what your particular affiliation is, whether you're Republican, Democrat, but I think people are trying to scare everyone to think nobody supports the people in blue anymore. I got to tell you, in my experience, people like you, the support that I get in my community has always been phenomenal. Now, I've seen that change over the years. We've had less lately. There's less and less people wanting to do what I've done. I have a conversation where I'm at right now. I'm serving with a lot of people who are reservists and they're police officers. I served yesterday and worked with a guy who was a Tampa police officer down in Florida. And he's a 25-year veteran of that organization, and he and I just spoke about the quality of the people coming in to that service anymore. Just like my son just got done doing a 2-year tour as a drill sergeant for the U.S. Army. He was at Fort Jackson,
Thank you for his
and
service.
he would tell me that he was just, disappointed with what he's seeing, and how sometimes what the left has just degraded our military over the years. But thank God, I think that's changed.
Okay, everything that we're seeing right now, I always put it into a concept like this, a context. Paul Harvey, if I was the devil, 45 rules of communist goals, and this is literally the defund police generation. And what
Yes,
you're talking about, I call them YNs.
yeah.
Because that's what they are, YNs. And if you look at the age group, they're like 15 and under. If you think about 15 or years old, look back 5 years ago, all the way to 8 years ago, they heard hate the police, hate this, hate authority, defund the police. You can't tell me what to do. I can beat my mom, beat my dad. Defects is gonna always be on my side. I could go out there, rob somebody, shoot somebody. The court system, our law system is never gonna do anything to these young YNs. And listen, young YNs could be red, yellow, a black, white, Indian.
Yes, ma'am.
It don't matter. These are
Yeah.
the people on the street that are holding these rolling guns or these shootouts. It is not millennials. It's not Generation Z. It's younger than that. How do we get if you've been in the Department of Defense, and it has nothing to do with what's on the street, but it's gonna have to happen where our whole federal system has to step in and get control back in our street. But how can we do that when so many big cities and even small towns are sanctuary cities?
And I've never encountered that. When I was growing up, when you were growing up, we didn't even know what that was, sanctuary cities. And I've seen that in these young people that I've pulled over, prior to being in the Department of Defense job that I have now. I was with the Pentagon Protection Agency in the Uniform Division. I was in law enforcement, and I would have a run-in with some of these young people, 14, 15, running the streets, 13 years old, 2 o'clock in the morning, when, we were growing up, that old adage, nothing good happens after midnight, right? There's no reason you should be on the street. And you see these young people running all over the street, and you're right. They have no appreciation for authority. They don't care. There's no consequence. And I think giving these sanctuary cities a consequence, that's the only way of rolling this stuff back. And unfortunately, the consequences always have to be follow the money, right? And I think, we're heading that direction. I think our president's pulling back the money from some of these sanctuary cities.
Yes.
But I got to tell you, in my opinion, and I found this to be true, when I was a young deputy, I got started at 19 years old at a sheriff's department. I loved my sheriff. The man was awesome. He gave me my start, but he encouraged me to get started in Big Brothers, Big Sisters at 19 years old. And I took in a young man, and I got to tell you, it's been a few years since I've heard from him, but about 5 years ago when I did, I was with him for about 2.5 years, and he was only 14 at the time. And he's doing phenomenal today. Now, I don't want to say it's because of me, but I helped direct him in the line of sports. Sports kept me. I grew up in the projects. I was raised by a single mother, and sports helped rescue me, where a lot of my friends, weren't. So I got to tell you, I think if we just help lift these young people up and encourage them, and it's going to take our generation and the Generation Z, Generation X. I'm actually the last year of the baby boomers, right? But believe it or not, this handsome young man was a baby boomer. So, but I think getting more involved in these programs and in these church youth programs is going to be a difference. In spite of these sanctuary cities, it's going to take us, just like with what you're doing, on the ground and helping making a difference. I tried as a police officer when I would have a run-in with some of these youth and some of these young people, I would try my best, but I got to tell you, when push came to shove, I was not afraid to take one of them to the juvenile detention center.
Wow.
And so many police departments are afraid to do that. These sanctuary cities police departments are under orders. You don't do that no matter what. And they know these young kids know there's no consequence.
Is that why you
Right?
ran for sheriff? Because you wanted to make a bigger difference in Spotsylvania? You know, saying
Yes, ma'am.
every time I was like, Spotsylvania? Why does it sound like vampires would live up there? But is that the reason why you ran for sheriff? Is because you wanted to save these young folks and your town and city from becoming a New York state or New York?
Yes, ma'am. I saw that happening. I ran because the year I announced I was going to run back in 2022, I saw things happening and gun violence on the increase. This thing happened yesterday. It was a rolling gunfight. I mean, three young people are dead. Three more were put in the hospital. Four youths, I believe, they found four youths who actually committed these offenses. But so far, that sheriff in Spotsylvania County has sent a spokesperson out to talk to the people to calm their nerves. 2 days before this shooting, we had a young person had a gun in his backpack and fell on the floor, and the gun went off while it's in school. So these things are happening, yet that sheriff hasn't come out to address the community. A spokesperson has, and so it takes a leader to get out and lead, and people need to trust. And that is where it comes in any relationship. Trust is important. And I think the people need to trust our men and women in blue and it's easy to trust fire departments, right? Everybody knows that they run into fires when everybody runs out. And it's easy to do that. It's a little harder with police officers and sheriff's deputies because people automatically think they're always out to get them. And that's not the case. It's not the case with me or anyone else.
Well, when you've been vilified by the top office in the land, take it back, Barack Obama. I mean, let's just be honest. I never heard Bill Clinton bashing the cops or the police. No matter if he was a Democrat or not, I never heard any of the Bushes bashing the police officers. None of this stuff. And then we get into Barack Obama, and I'm remembering Beergate. I'm remembering Texas. I'm remembering, up there in Tennessee with one of my best friends who is a Marine when that happened in Tennessee when that recruiting station was shot up. It was like the cops' hands started being shackled themselves, and you started seeing a lot of cops leave or just shut down and shut up. What can we do now that the new guard has changed? President Trump, who was American first, he's law first, he's constitutional first, and he's very much with safe borders, everything. What can you do, being inside of the Department of Defense, help secure the United States? Not immigration, not anything else. And first of all, can you tell everybody what the Department of Defense does for the United States? And then we'll re-ask that question.
Well, I've been proud to serve in the Department of Defense for the last going on 10 years. And Department of Defense encompasses all the branches of the military. I'm a two-time combat veteran with the 82nd Airborne. I was the fifth generation of Maxwells to serve in the military. My son was the sixth. And he's only has 4 more years to retire. But the Department of Defense encompasses all those branches of the military. It's one of the larger employers in the federal government, which, I think all of the employees, having so many employees in the federal government becomes an economic issue, which I believe is getting addressed as we speak. Mm-hmm. But so the Department of Defense plays a key role in protecting our borders. It was established back in 1776. Our military, the Department of Defense is established to protect our borders. First and foremost, before anything happens, we have to protect our homeland. And we have 50 different agencies, right, that are now entrusted to do that. But being in the Department of Defense, I got to tell you, Secretary of Defense Hegseth has a large mountain to climb. I think he's the right man to do that. The policies that he's enacting, I've been very proud of. I'm happy that we are enacting them. When I was in the military, and I was actually in CID back in 1989. And again, dating myself a little bit. CID is a criminal investigations division of the Department of Defense, right, for the Army. So we're like, everybody knows who NCIS is because they watch TV, right?
Yes.
All these shows on TV. Well, that's kind of what CID is. So in 1989, for 2 years, I was an undercover drug agent for that organization down in Fort Bragg. Back then, everybody called it at Vietnam, right, in Fayetteville, North Carolina, because it was literally the Wild West down there back in those days.
Wow.
So if we established a military nexus with a drug dealer, we were allowed to investigate them and keep those drugs out of our military. And that was an important role in our local community, because all these military bases that we have, Air Force bases, naval bases, there's always a military nexus within the local community. And so I believe that the Department of Defense, it's a key entity to work within our local communities and with these local agencies to help provide those protections that are so needed. And when these local communities don't have the money, I remember back in those days, we were the agency that was being used, the local Knox County down in North Carolina and Fayetteville were able to use us. We had some money in those days that we were using to thwart the drug effort within our local community, because if we were able to help stop that locally, then our soldiers weren't being involved. So when you look at how many bases and Air Force bases and Army bases we have, I think the DoD plays a key important role in helping those local communities do that.
So you also, what do you know about these soldiers, our soldiers getting their jobs back because they refused during the pandemic? Are they really going to get their jobs back in the same rank and then also get back pay for being, let go during the scamdemic?
Well, I can tell you they are being hired back. Now that I can tell you, I don't know. I don't have the information. I'm not privy to the conversations about back pay. But we were told they are coming back. I don't know how many of those soldiers we'll be able to capture. We let a tremendous amount of talent go in those days. I was in DoD when that happened, and I got to tell you, it was not fun. Watching some of these guys leave.
Okay, I gotta ask you this. I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna ask
you. Go ahead.
What politician or celebrity being arrested? I just want to know which are they going to go to Gitmo, Leavenworth, Fort Bragg? Are they going to be stuck in the middle of North Dakota? Where y'all shipping these people to?
If a celebrity's getting arrested, I haven't arrested any, but the people I put in jail or in prison, if it's federally, they would go to a federal facility, or it depends on what somebody gets arrested for, if it's a state law or if it's a federal law, but they could go anywhere to a state facility or a federal one.
When you gonna arrest Hunter Biden, and which jail you gonna put him in?
Well, that's not my purview. In DOD, that's a DOJ question. But I have my own personal opinions, and speaking personally, not professionally. If that happens, I would assume that would be a federal violation. So there would be a federal facility involved.
Okay, I'm trying to go around the edges. Everybody called. I kind of been bragging about y'all.
I know. Yeah, I'm one to really run my mouth, which is why I've been charged with the Hatch Act. So I mean, it's
I am not going to get you.
I have a tendency to run my mouth.
You ask them, because Dave.
But that's okay. I mean, I don't mind. I'll tell you. I mean, just so we bring it out, so your audience knows, because there's a lot of rumor out there. When I ran for sheriff, there's an Office of Special Counsel. It's called OSC, Office of Special Counsel. They're very careful to tell me all the time, we're not the Department of Justice. We're not a part of it. We're an independent agency. Yeah, okay. You're lawyers that work for the government. So they had, they had told me that they received someone called or sent them an email that I was violating the Hatch Act. Now, the Hatch Act means that you can't run for an office. Back when I ran for sheriff, you can't run for office using the authority of what you do in the federal government, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of different things that you can do. There's something called less restrictive versus more restrictive when the Hatch Act. I've learned all this stuff in the last 2 years because they're still coming after me. My final hearing actually isn't until May 6th. And my opponent tried to get me off the ballot for months before that. And then all of a sudden, 58 days before the election, the Office of Special Counsel tells me I have to get out of the race because I violated the Hatch Act. So you tell me if that's,
Wait a minute, here's go.
If that's not lawfare, I don't know what is.
Your opposition, was they a Democrat?
He was on the Democrat sample ballot. Yes, ma'am.
But there you go. That's exact.
Yes,
I mean, because think about it. A lot of these sheriff's departments around the United States is funded by Soros.
Yes, ma'am. And that's the thing. Local races, and I would encourage your audience to get out. As I encourage mine on my Facebook, but be a participant in your local races. Learn who's running. If you lean I really don't care political affiliations. I was an independent. I ran as an independent. I've been an independent my whole life, even though I am a conservative. But I encourage people to get involved in their local races and research who it is that you're electing for your sheriff or, whatever race it is. Because I got to tell you, your local sheriff has a lot of weight in that community and can change a lot your family's lifestyle.
Yeah, but it's the highest constitutional law officer in your county. That's how serious sheriffs are. So when you was running and they knew you was going to be an upstanding guy, you're going to be a man of integrity, and you're going to go by the rules, you couldn't win that seat. There's no way you could win that seat if you're going to be a sheriff that would probably walk around acting like, a Greedy Grady from Polk County, Florida. Of course, you think they don't want that in a blue state. They don't want that. They want to make sure they can bend the law and have these, Roman gang of young. I need to stop. Well, I was about to say it. These YNs that actually, that's what they want. They want lawfare in our streets. They want that confusion of what we saw in 2020, 2021, 2022, where we was shut down, but they was out there rioting and nothing ever happened to them. Do you feel like the Department of Justice and the new tables that have turned, that we're going to get our nation back from border to border, state to state? Now, there's going to be a lot of pushback because we've seen it already, especially with the Democrats and blue states. But I don't see nothing wrong with what Pete is doing, or Pam, or President Donald Trump. They keep touting exactly what we are, and we're United States of America with laws, with a constitution. Why do you see, or why do you feel that they cannot abide by the laws and order that is inside of the United States, and they welcome all these illegals in, and now y'all got to go hunt them down?
For me, it's follow the money, right? I mean, in my experience, I've been around law enforcement for a long time, and almost every investigation, people break the laws for one of very few reasons, and that is money. Drug dealers, you name it, thieves, it's always about money. So these people that want these illegal people to come in from all over the world, in my opinion, and again, this is Steve Maxwell talking, is just that. Follow the money. They need the system to be broken. They need the system to be overloaded. The more overloaded the system is, the longer it's going to take to find them, right? If the system's more overloaded, it'll take 10 times longer to investigate them and investigate what they did. It was a difference. When they said, I'll give you an example. I have very rarely has it, most federal investigations take quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
In my Hatch Act complaint, from the time my complaint came to the time they told me that I was guilty of violating Hatch, it took them 10 days. I ain't never seen something happen so fast.
Wait a minute. This is the federal government where everything works at snail's pace.
Right?
But them wanting to come after you, it took 10?
10 days.
No, that sounded like it was planned. It sounded like a
Well,
lot of moving
Yeah.
parts. Now that
Yeah.
you feel that way, do you feel like that all the laws that has been broken, and we know we can pretty much point them out, how do we get it back with inside of the Department of Justice to actually take justice on these people where just like they came after you in 10 days, we can actually speed up the time also, maybe 30 days to go get these bad guys that's in America?
Well, you can. We know where a lot of these people are, right? And we know who they are. We know who's pulling strings and who's not. But it's actually committing, and that's been the failure, I think, of our government in the past, is a commitment. And from what I've seen, our president, who's started from day one, didn't lack the commitment to make these things happen. You know, Secretary of Defense Hegseth does not lack commitment to get things done. Pam Bondi does not lack commitment to get things done. So I'm proud to say, and it's been a long time since I've been able to say that, I'm proud to say that I serve with the DOD and the people that we're in. I think it's making a difference. I see it making a difference. I'm saying that because even with my own son being in the Army, I mean, I'm happy to say that should an order be given and he has to go to combat somewhere, there's going to be command staff that's capable. I couldn't have said that before. There wasn't capable people, but I see capable people coming back again into the federal government, and that makes me happy. To be honest, because I'm on my way out. After 40 years of being in this business, it's time for me to go. But I'm proud to help train the next generation in the right way and have a commitment to these young people that are willing to come in now and serve their communities and their country.
Do you think that's necessary after I'd say the bombing? And it's really not a bombing. I just thought it was a nice puff of smoke that Trump just happened to drop a bomb in the middle of somebody having a yoga class in the middle of the desert. Now, with Iraq and Iran shouting death to America, they've gotten really, really quiet on shouting death to America now. And actually yesterday and the day before, a lot of these terrorist organizations, the Houthis and all the rest of them, have joined banded together to say, hey, time out. We okay, Trump. We don't want to do this no more. Trump means business. How about a ceasefire? And you even got the head of Iraq is basically trying to step down. Should we give them leeway after everything they've done to us?
Well, I have always lived by a mantra. I always try to find the good in everybody. But too many of these countries have been bullies to us for so long. And in my career and in my experience, when you look a bully in the eye and they know that you're willing to punch them in the face, they kind of have a tendency to back down, right? So, and I don't care how big they are. In my career, I've had to fight many, many bullies in my day. And sometimes a good punch in the face and being the first one to do that will make them back down real fast. So I think they know that America's not going to be bullied anymore. And I think that's going to help.
I feel, okay, now let's talk about China. Got to. It's our adversary. They're not our allies. I don't care how much I order from Temu. Okay? China is not our allies. What do you see with this, the tariff war that's happening between our president, our country, and China right now? Do you feel like we're going to finally get the upper hand and start having our countries or our businesses come back to America and start expanding and building again?
Honestly, I do. Again, gets back to that, we're able to look a bully in the eye and know that we're going to punch you in the face, right? So I think we have been bullied by China all these years. I know friends of mine that own businesses and have tried to expand into the Chinese market, and I know what that cost them. They would come back and tell me the story. I had a friend of mine tell me that if he wanted to do business in there, he had to give up 51% ownership of the business to the Chinese government,
Wow.
in order to do business in China. Um, so I think we have someone in office that's willing to look them in the eyes and say, "Look, no more. We're willing to be peaceful. We want to do business with you. It's a great market. It's going to help our businesses do business with China, but they have to understand it's going to be a fair trade, fair business practice, and we can outweight China, and we can." As long as we as the communities, as we as Americans stick to that plan of saying, you know what, I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be here, and I am going to buy American products. And that's what I'm going to do. And I've done it. I've made personal sacrifices in my life to do that. And I think if we do that more, I think we're going to come out on top. America always comes out on top. You know, I'm not one of these people to give us a rah-rah speech about, how America is the greatest country in the world, but I really think we are. I think we have been. I think we can be again. I think we've been down, but here's the thing. Doesn't matter how you get knocked down. Everybody says it matters how you get back up. And, we got back up in November. November 5th, we got back up again. And I think the world's taken a notice to that.
Now we have less than 3 minutes and 6 seconds. You really coming
Okay.
Are you really coming down here to the NRA convention?
Dave asked me. I'm going to try. I'm right now. I'm on assignment. I'm on TDY. If I can't make it there in person, I can promise you I can at least do a Zoom with you if you'd have me back
Absolutely.
again. But I'm going to do everything I can to try to come down there and help support you for your run.
You said you're on assignment and you on TBI. Why? What that mean?
TDY, temporary duty. It's temporary duty. So I'm not in Virginia right now. So I'm traveling and I'm speaking from this luscious place here, this hotel room.
See, this is not fair. Dave keep looking at me like, don't you dare. So I'm not going to ask you anything. If people can't catch on who you are, I can't help them. I am not going to do that.
I get you. I know what you're wanting to ask me, and I wish I could tell you, but I'll share it with you offline.
Okay. Look, David's just like, So you have less than 2 minutes. I'm going to let you close us out and tell everybody a little bit left about yourself and that you will be coming on soon. And I just want to say thank you so much. And if ever in your life, you can ask your boss, be like, hey, there's this chick down there in Georgia. She want to interview you. I mean, she going to ask you some questions, but ask him if I can interview him. Tell him I ain't going to ask him no gotcha questions.
If I get an opportunity, I will sure mention that. I get an opportunity every once in a while. So if I get an opportunity, I'll promise you that I'll do that. Well, again, everybody, for those of you who don't know me, I do a on my Facebook, on Elect Maxwell Sheriff Facebook page, I do a community talk on Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. And we've had a pretty good following, and it's nice. We talk about local community things that can help you in your local. I've got people from Ohio to California all over to watch. And we talk about what you can do in your local community to help your community stand up and stand out. And, I'd love to have you come on and maybe we could do that one Sunday night as well. But I want to come down there and support you and your bid for the NRA. I think you would do phenomenal. I just think you're going to be a wonderful person in that position to lead the NRA.
Thank you.
And that's coming from a Second Amendment guy who's been around a long time. So
everybody, he got 10 seconds left. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
We are running a sale on our entire We the People line of products. Just use promo code TOLDYOUSO and get 15% off until the end of March. So order today.
Are you a voting member of the NRA? My name is Lucretia Hughes NRA. I will never compromise my beliefs in God, family, our country, and my Second Amendment. I am running for the board of directors of the NRA, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you, Sue Maxwell. Thank you so much. And thank you, Steve. Sue all over there on Rumble in the chat, live chat. Thank you so much for sharing your husband with us, Sue. And I'm like, Sue, make it home safe, Steve, wherever you at, on whatever part of the globe. Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to the Real News with Lucretia Hughes. Dave, well, I'm trying to swallow. At least put your hand down, Dave. At least I got one of the egg rolls down. So do not forget this Saturday, the Faith Over Fear celebrating first responders and veterans start at 12 to 1 and ends until everybody is done. Like I said, the grass is cut, the yard is done tomorrow, putting